All right, so this week I am so excited to welcome to the Mainly Moonology podcast someone I have only just met online and who I think is going to be amazing because she has a special subject which really fascinates me. It's to do with the divine feminine, it's to do with fixed stars, it's to do with a very sort of specialized area of astrology, and she's going to talk to us all about the fixed star Algol, the star that Bernadette Brady, who's sort of the fixed star expert of the world, says is not to be feared because it's powerful. It's a long, long story. We'll get to it in the middle of this episode. But first of all, Kamila, let me just tell people about you. So Kamila is a consulting astrologer based in County Wicklow over in Ireland. She practices and lives deeply immersive psycho-spiritual Western astrology, which sounds pretty intense, and uses sound, music, and embodiment in her practice. She holds a master's degree in philosophy and literary/art translations from Trinity College Dublin, no less, and postgraduate degree specializing in sound within the science fiction genre. She's also been a performing musician for 20 years, and she was trained and mentored in the Blue Rose School of Astrology. She's also a member of the Cosmic Intelligence Agency run by the wonderful Yulia Simmons. And Yulia has connected us because Yulia knows that I'm very fascinated by this fixed planet, or fixed star, I should say, Algol. And as I said, we're going to talk about that. But first of all, Kamila, welcome to the Mainly Moonology podcast.
Hi, how are you, Yasmin? Thank you so much for having me. I'm honored and very excited to talk
I'm
about
very
Algol.
excited as well, yes. So
Yeah.
let's start off for people who just want to know what's happening this week. What's going on in the stars this week that you want to talk about? We've already talked a bit off air, so I'm just going to let you lead the way. What do you think people need to know, Kamila, as they go about their daily lives? What have we got? I'll just give a spoiler alert. There is a full moon, but we'll get to that in the second section of this show. But let's talk about the astrology.
What's in the stars?
Yes, there's so much going on this week. It's a very dynamic, very, very dynamic week with a lot of deep shifts going on a heart level, on a mind level, and of course the full moon as well. But there's a lot to do with healing opportunities as well. We're moving at the back of the Jupiter Chiron energy from last week, peaking this weekend, to do with the reactiveness based on ancestral trauma and releasing limiting beliefs around the ancestral conditioning. Also, practices of prayer and intention, true intention, and kind of broadening our spiritual experience as well. And on top of that, right now we're peaking in this Mars, Sun, and Chiron energy, which means that there's a deeper and broader experience of a focus on our desire nature, on the root chakra. So the focus is on the root chakra and rising the experience to a more sacred one of what moves through us, what desire nature does through us, and how we manifest that energy. It's also to do with the disconnection of the crown chakra. So how do we move past the ego bounds and try and connect and align the roots with the crown? So, we are having an experience through us of spirit and not just the pure desire nature that wants to conquer and compete. Yes.
Okay, that sounds amazing. So much to unpack there straight away. Let's start by talking about what you're saying about ancestral wounds. I would love to know where you see that in the stars this week and what people can do about healing ancestral lines.
Right, so there's a huge presence of Chiron, which is that state of in-betweenness, that walker planet that we have in our charts. And Chiron at the moment, Chiron is that point in a chart that is connected to the ancestral DNA, generation to generation kind of residue and echo of trauma, but also other experiences, and also deeply meditative energy. And so I've noticed, for example, in working with clients this week, how they react of what their ancestors have been doing before. Oh, I'm actually seeing in my own manifestation of things and how I react to things how my grandfather used to do that. And I don't like that. I want to transmute that. I want to somehow transform how I react in life, how I move with my spirit, not being repeating what's been happening on a more of an ancestral level.
And for you, Kamila, is that just a question of becoming conscious of it and then dealing like that, or do you use techniques? I see you use sound therapy and so on. How would you suggest someone who's saying, yes, I know sometimes I'm so much like my mum and I don't want to be, or I'm so much like my dad and I don't want to be? What techniques do you have for people who are feeling that, and in this week when Chiron's being activated might want to look into it?
Yes, so certainly the kind of like a resonator of that energy, that release, is to do with prayer and chanting and doing meditative practices, possibly early in the morning when the sun rises, that we can kind of invoke a different energy for the day, conscious movement through the day of what, how we want to interact with the world. Do we want to feel that tension, or are we actually consciously going to move through how we respond, how we manifest this tension that might be building in us? It's a cardinal energy as well, so there's a lot of push on manifesting that and somehow purify that maybe more of a toxic energy of margin energy that we're looking at this week.
I love that. So so for example, if someone's listening and thinking, okay, I'll do this week, I do need to sort of work through this, I'm going to do the meditations, what do you suggest? Do you suggest people sort of set an intention before they sit down to meditate, and I'm going to start to release my generational wounds or generational toxicity, and then just do a plain old meditation, or do a meditation and then journal? What sort of practices do you recommend?
Well, actually, because it involves Mars, and Mars is in cardinal water, so it involves movement in some way as well. So you don't need to sit in stillness, because the cardinal energy is a lot of movement. There's a lot of that open heart expression. So it can be, even a swim, or it can be a chant, or it can be a chant at the beach, or it can be a jog on the beach next to the sea,
or a walking meditation.
Or a walking meditation.
Actually, because not everybody can sit down and just meditate, can they?
Exactly. But the very potent time is just before the sunrise, when we actually are waking up into this energy, and in some way we can invoke an intention for the day. So it's almost like a prayer in movement, a prayer in motion, because Mars is really about the energy of spirit moving through us in motion, how we embody that intention, how we then manifest that during our day, how we align the root chakra, how we align the desire, what we want to manifest, with how we actually do it, how we actually go about it. Are we doing it from a place of an unhealed situation? Are we keeping on reacting to things instead of trying to move with the energy and try and resolve some form of an unconscious energy that's trying to drive our reactions?
Right. So. And in Moonology, what we do is actually, in a full moon week, it's all about releasing. So release the toxicity, so that when it comes to manifesting in 2 weeks at the new moon, we're not putting out negative energy, because obviously law of attraction states like unto itself is drawn. So if you're putting out the negative, you get it back. So really in Moonology, what we do is we do the release work now and throughout the waning cycle. And then when we get to the new moon and the waxing cycle, we should be in a better energetic state. Does that sort of work with what you're saying here?
Yes, and I mean, because Mars in Cancer, so Mars in cardinal water, as we call it elementally, is really about directing the emotional energy. So it is to do with, the emotional release of the, coming towards the moon, the release of the emotional culmination that's kind of, building up throughout the week towards the full moon. So,
which, by the way, Mars obviously rules Aries, which is the sign that the full moon's in.
And also, because Chiron was actually conjoined the new moon in this cycle, as we started this cycle of this full moon coming to culmination this week, in April 8th, I believe it was. So there is this portal of the new moon eclipse of Chiron back then that puts us into some form of a transition between the worlds. So there is that need to be vulnerable and honest with what we are moving through, and which way are we going towards the next dawn, the next day, and the next step ahead. So with regards to conditioning and releasing this as well, we have to ask ourselves questions about safety and stability, because that's also root chakra, and what it is that we have to release that limits us in that, what limiting beliefs, what limiting movements that we've been experiencing as blocks from releasing this true energy through us. Yeah.
So to boil it all down, what is the big message we're giving people here that you want to give people? I mean, what I'm hearing from what you said, and I completely agree with all your analysis, just by the way, but what I'm hearing is this is a week to release trauma, generational trauma, which I guess can go in both directions. If you've got kids, you don't want to be passing on your trauma to your children. Can be releasing trauma from your own parents or grandparents or beyond. But sum it up for me in your words, please, Kamila. I don't want to put words in your mouth.
No, that's fine, because this is just the beginning of the week, really, but this stays with us throughout the week, throughout the moon. And actually, Chiron is very present throughout the whole week that we're talking about. And so is this whole Martian energy, the fire energy as well. So really, as I was saying at the beginning, the focus is on the root chakra and the manifestation of that, and the direction of that, and the alignment of the root with the crown. So really the main message would be, yes, moving through consciously through that awareness of reactiveness that we have, the awareness of egoic kind of behaviors that might be also projected through our actions, and trying to just move through it day by day. So it doesn't happen overnight that we transmute that energy, but there's a lot of dynamism around transmutation of that, and it's some form of a desire to align ourselves with more of a cosmic energy through the crown, releasing and opening it through how we consciously try to heal that residue drowning through our ancestral line, because sometimes we might not be even aware of what it is. It's just we can't put a thumb up on it. So meditation can really help in that prayer and asking for the signs and omens of what it is that this ancestral trauma is, because we might not know what our ancestors have been going through. We might have not even spoken to them. It might be going lines and lines and lines back in our generationally. So yeah.
So Kamila, would it be really weird if I did a chant right now? Because you've mentioned chanting, you've mentioned chakras, and I do a chant which I learned from my teacher in India.
Wonderful. Yeah.
Maybe if I do that now for anyone, just to take a moment, because as you say, this is really just the beginning of the week, and we've got more to talk about in the second half of the week. But would it be okay with you if I
absolutely
chant?
Well, I chant all the time, so there's no problem with me. If you want me to join in, or if you want me just to listen, I'm open to anything.
I think probably just listen, because I don't think I can teach it to you on the spot.
Okay, great. Yes.
It's a chant I learned in India at the ashram I've been going to for, I don't know, nearly 20 years
Wonderful.
now. And people know it. Most of my listeners know it, love it. And so I'll just do it now. Just if as long as you're not driving, take a moment. It will help get you in the zone. It's based on the chakras and the Panchabhutas, the 5 elements. Okay, so here we go. Hari Om Nam Lam Mam Vam Sim Ram Vam Yam Yam Ham Shiva Om Swaha. So we can just come back to that anytime that we want to. It is a beautiful chant, isn't it? Thank you. I love it. I really love it. All right. Okay. So so let's all get back into alignment. So now let's talk about the second half of the week, Kamila, where there's some interesting things happening, not least of which is something that's triggering Algol, your special subject talking about after. So take it away. What do you reckon? Give us your thoughts.
Right. So as we're moving through all these healing energies, and thank you for the chant, it was very soothing. And actually on that note, very much a chant is that is that Jovian kind of movement of release as well. So thank you.
Yeah.
That was useful.
It's my pleasure. I love to chant.
Yeah.
And actually, most of my readers love chanting. So,
Love
you know,
chanting. Yeah.
if you've got a chant you want to bust out, just bring it on.
You know, because our voice, which is actually bringing me to Mercury, because Mercury's moving as well in the more of a beginning of the week, obviously, overnight on the 13th. But still, it's to do with our voice and that deeper inner connection with the root of the feeling that is going to be moving through our voices in the next while. There's that healing of the limiting beliefs that moves through the voice, and it's our instrument within our bodies. So everyone's got a voice, so we can all chant and we can all move through these energies with the voice and chanting. So it's just very fitting into what's going on this week as well, to chant and have that practice. As Mercury, I was saying, is immersing in Scorpio. And what Scorpio really truly means beyond the commercial understanding is to understand that deep emotive root of the feeling, the somatic experience of emotions through us. So when Mercury is immersing in those waters, what to expect is to really move through a very profound time of getting to know the heartbeat of that energy, because water is a heart energy. It's an imaginative, very beautiful, fluid energy. So these deep emotive states that are ahead of us, and I truly believe that because Venus is now finishing her cycle, her part of the cycle in Scorpio, it's almost like Mercury on the path through Scorpio is going to move through all these sensitive points that Venus has paved the way in. So it's almost like the heart is guiding the mind through the waters of Scorpio in the coming weeks, which is a very profound energy, because the culmination, as you've mentioned before, in Scorpio is in that opposition to Uranus and fixed star Algol, which brings me to the question and that excitement we've had in preparation about talking about Algol star. Fixed stars in general, if the listeners here don't exactly know what fixed stars are way beyond our solar system. So they are like living transmissions, living energies out there far beyond our conscious understanding here. They are completely otherworldly presences, godlike consciousness, and each star has its own color tone, its own voice, its own transmission, and there is no negativity in the stars. They just have a very intense tone sometimes because they're otherworldly. So when Uranus right now is moving through the beam of light of Algol and listens to Algol's message and transmission, just imagine Uranus being that change of rhythm that touches Venus as in opposition, illuminating something about a change of rhythm that needs to invoke a liberation of the energy that Algol represents. So there's a massive transmission of this primordial creatrix energy through the heart. So the heart, in the opposition to that energy, is literally just love as a spiritual awakening. So love is really at the heart of a spiritual awakening this week. And it might be sometimes uncomfortable and it might trigger toxic masculinity. But at the end of the day, the evening star Venus that is right now moving towards that culmination on the 15th of October, is like that guiding heartbeat when the night falls, when the dark falls, and she's stretching the light in the night with this protective energy of the feminine, this deeper suppressed energy of the creativity, of libidinal energy that has been really feared by the masculine, the toxic masculine, by the patriarchy that basically projected women's sexuality as evil. And like, think about how Algol.
Yeah, let's
Because
get into that, because that's
yes,
where I think Algol got its bad reputation from.
exactly. Because like when we have to actually understand where Algol is placed in the sky. So okay, so fixed stars are those otherworldly energies, and Algol is placed in the constellation of Perseus as the eye of Medusa. So if anyone knows anything about Medusa, ever heard of Medusa, it's that demonized feminine that turns men into stone. But actually nothing is ever set in stone, is it? So when you think about that, twisting it from the other side, it starts kind of opening a bit of a different perspective on Algol. So Algol is really Medusa. So Medusa in Sanskrit, which is really interesting, means the sovereign feminine wisdom. So essentially, it's a ever regenerative, deeply instinctive, deeply libidinal energy that is like this huge snake-like kundalini energy that moves through your feet, leaving you breathless, moving through all your chakra system, and then rapturing finally through your crown. So that powerful energy of the deep feminine, that is the transmission of Algol, is what the patriarchy really, really has been afraid for generations. And the extent of the cultural repression of the meaning of Algol has been just devastating across the centuries, because it's been immortalized in art, in music, in all different examples of cultural repression. So it's been really widely accepted to shame the sexual power and the nature of creative force within the feminine, widely accepted. Whereas in the meantime, there really is our connection to this deeply intuitive energy. There's themes of Algol I'll be talking in the webinar with CIA in the end of October, that are to do with this incredible instinct, incredible protection of the feminine, this creativity that just opens us up beyond what creativity has been before. But once you feel Algol, hear Algol, you give her a voice, she doesn't go away. She just keeps regenerating within you. And actually, it's a lovely metaphor as well when you think about how many different faces of Medusa, Algol, we have seen in culture, in art and music and film. And she's always shamed, but she always comes back. She always rises back. She's always regenerating through different lifetimes, and really is immortal in our culture in that sense. So the questions that we could be asking ourselves during that time of the week is, who is suppressing this power in me? Why should I be conditioned not to feel this utter energy trying to move through me? Or am I suppressing this power myself because I'm afraid of it, because I'm scared of it, because I'm not ready for it? Because Uranus is moving through that part of the sky, which is the 26 degrees of Taurus, it's like it's really within us, because the Taurian energy is about the fixed earth energy. So fixed earth is every cell. It's the most embodied energy consciousness that we can experience. So somatically, there's something awakening in us beyond that sense of conditioning, beyond the triggered toxic masculine, both in men and women, because there is a part of the myth of Medusa to do with the betrayal of the sisterhood, the suppression, the jealousy. So all these really lower vibration themes have to be burned through this massive beam of knowing that comes from Algol at this time. And this is illuminating the heart. So we're thinking, so we can think about the inspiration that this can bring as Venus. It can show us, illuminate us on a deeper level of what love means in the context of this creative power. Because to me, Algol is really love. Sorry, yes, go ahead.
No, I just wanted to say something.
Yeah.
That has occurred to me actually about 5 minutes ago, but now you've got to that part. So I think one thing that's so interesting this week is that, Venus in sort of popular astrology gets sort of painted as this sort of like pretty girl, you know, but we know as astrologers that Venus has this, the day and the night and the strong and the soft and all that, and Algol in some ways is all about, you know, that side of femininity that men are scared of, the crow,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yes.
So in a way it's interesting that we have Venus, you know, this highly feminine energy with two sides to it, or two sides to her, sort of now projecting through Uranus to meet Algol. It was just an observation.
Oh, I think it's just the most stunning energy possible because we can bring it through our inspiration. We can bring it through, like I said, through, yes, our connections with others. But we have to remember Venus is still, she's an evening star in Scorpio in fixed water as she's meeting Algol in that beam. So it's like this deepest experience somatically of that illumination. And so Taurus is about illumination of the divine within us. So
yes,
every
of course,
single,
because Venus rules Taurus. Hello. It's like
and
circles within
Algol,
circles within
it's
circles.
always circles and spirals, and it literally is an invitation to really embrace and own your own creative power and own your sexuality and own your sacred sexuality, own that heat that brings the inspiration, not being
I'm
afraid of
really
it.
getting as well the whole wild woman thing, you know.
Yes, as well, absolutely. And you know, the wild woman's called the wild woman, well, in the negative way that the patriarchy sees it, is that wild woman that is just crazy, the madness of the woman. But it's really not. It's that unhindered, like a boundless energy of just creation and regeneration. So we can manifest that with Venus through art, through music, through writing, through just being at one with your heart. So there's a potential to break free from suppression. They say feeling of, aligning the chakras and opening the heart chakra. That's what I actually do in the workshops that I do with people with the Venus Heart Light. I invoke the invitation to open the heart further. So the fixed stars are those otherworldly energies that are really beautifully aligning with the heart energies, when it comes to opening them beyond the ego. It's an opportunity to free creative power of the soul to awaken. So it's a really stunning energy to be moving through this week.
Yeah.
And with Venus, because she's our heart energy, our heart consciousness, it's the hopeful energy that we can have. And just like you said, Venus is in a different phase, in an evening phase now. And Venus is really about bringing the spirit into matter. It's not just love. It's not just appreciation, not just the value. She's got so many different levels. And she's
Like
a beautiful,
women.
like women, and she's a beautiful teacher. And she's a beautiful teacher because, what of life if we don't have love and that sacred energy that moves through us, that excitement of creation, of sexual energy that brings us into a state of aliveness. So I absolutely think it's a divine part of the week to move through. Now, it can be uncomfortable because obviously we're moving beyond conditioning as well. So yes, the toxic masculinity is triggered. So we might, because it's also in opposition, so it might involve other people. We might see it in other people, that toxicity, or we might just deeply explore the root of these behaviors because it's Scorpio Venus, right?
And maybe it can set us free because Uranus sets us free.
Exactly. And there's also, we haven't moved that far in the week yet, but we have, after the full moon, the sun is actually moving through its own purge of toxicity as well, releasing attachments of the whatever is blocking that way, because then the sun at the end of the week is interacting in resonance with Uranus and Algol and Neptune. So overall, what that really means for us is that there's a need of some form of a purge of that toxic masculine behavior, or how we are in relation to our solar energy.
And what about toxic feminine behavior?
Well, that's another thing, isn't it? Because like I was talking about, the myth of Algol actually just depicts and explains that jealousy in the sisterhood as well, that is a lower vibration of the feminine as well, and the manipulation. So that's, one of those themes that are of the lower vibration. However, Algol is a heightened intuition. So I feel that when Algol is in presence, you actually see through these themes and you really have an extra intuition to know, whose intention is what. And with kindness and compassion, you can try to, direct your own emotions through that, and how and where and who you connect with as well.
Right. Okay. So, Kamila, I think we have given people more than enough to think about the
Yes.
astrology for the week ahead. That was absolutely amazing. I have every
Thank you.
intention of getting this transcribed so I can read it, and I will definitely listen to it again and again. Can
Thank
we
you.
now wrap that up and move on to the Moonology of the week ahead?
Yes, of course. Of course, yes.
Okay.
Where's the moon?
So I'll be guided by you. Go ahead.
Okay, so let's start off by saying that it's full moon this week. I'll give you the times around the world. It's LA, October 17 at 4:26 a.m. New York, October 17 at 7:26 a.m. In London, it's October 17 at 12:26 p.m. And in Sydney, it's October 17 at 10:26 p.m. So pretty much wherever you are in the world, it's going to be October 17. It's a super full moon in Aries. And if I look at my Moonology diary, which is currently covered with lots of notes, keywords are potency, release, again, new emotional beginnings, and powerful love, and also healing, because Chiron's involved in the full moon. So I'll just give you a little bit of info from my diary, my Moonology diary. If you don't know it, I write this diary every year. We're getting towards the end of the year, but even so, there's a new start here because this full moon is taking place in the first sign of the zodiac. So basically, we are starting a new lunar cycle. This is the full moon in Aries. The next one will be in Taurus. So all 12 full moons through this 12 signs will take place over the coming 12 months. So each full moon brings the chance to forgive and move on. That's one thing we do in Moonology, Kamila, is because all your emotions come up at the full moon, it's a really good time to kind of process them and release them. And I sum it up in one word: surrender. And so let's talk about it from that perspective. What do you see for this full moon? It's taking place, the super full moon is followed by a harmonious alignment between Venus and Pluto. We've also got all the other energies we've been talking about. What do you feel about this full moon?
Thank you for reading that from your book. So I just in addition to it, to me, when I think of Aries, that's cardinal fire energy. So there's this thing about a singularity of an honest spirit expression through us, that fire, that spirit, not just passion, but also that vision that moves through us, an open expression of that almost childlike energy, honesty about it. So really, like, the main message that I thought for the full moon, this illumination, is, are we truly free to be us? Are you truly free to be you? Or are you coming back to the roots of this new moon that happened in April, which was a total eclipse in cardinal fire conjoined Chiron? Have you been meditating on the truth of yourself and being truthful without the fear of rejection, without the fear of opinions of others, without the fear of conditioning? Can you step forward and trust to be yourself? And I actually have this.
And sorry to interrupt, but I feel like that ties back into everything we've been talking about, Algol, and because most of our listeners are female, actually.
Yeah.
It's about, are you being free to be the woman that you actually are, rather than the one you've been conditioned to be?
Yes, owning your power. And all these energies are so weaved. Like, to me, astrology is like music. It's a composition of all these different transmissions and sounds. And so gradually throughout the week, we're getting this, more and more and more layers of all these energies working together. And what a culmination in this Aries moon. So I actually have a quote from Rumi I used in writing for the new moon. It's a very quick quote I'm going to take liberty of sharing here with you. Hope it's okay. Rumi says, "You must ask for what you really want. Don't go back to sleep. People are going back and forth around the door sill where the two worlds touch. The door is round and open. Don't go back to sleep." So to me, it's that massive chrysalis that we're moving through with our hearts, with, all the deep shifts and the redistribution of power and all the liberation of the feminine that's going on. And can we move forward with trust, not expecting anything, but just openly and honestly move through without the fear of rejection of who we truly are. And don't go back to sleep. Don't go back to the fear of the feminine, the fear of the creative sexual power, the fear of all that by, being suppressed by the toxicity. The full moon is also receiving an infusion of otherworldly energies of fixed stars that I was touching on before. So there's a beautiful protective energy around this step forward that we're moving towards, an infusion of this deeply healing feminine wisdom and very ancient kind of presence that we might feel, because this moon is actually falling exactly in conjunction to a fixed star called Arcturus. It might mean something to people that are listening. And if it doesn't, just by the name, the star at 24 Libra, it's just an energy of a safe passage through shifts. So it's that courageous step forward. It's a beautiful energy as well, on top of everything that's going on. And also Venus is weaved in this full moon. So it's almost like we're walking through this door sill, actively engaging the heart. And like you mentioned a second ago, Venus is actually shifting from Scorpio to Sagittarius hours after. So we're on that edge of understanding the deep inner emotion of the heart. And now we're ready to ignite freely in some way, deeper, more meaningful connection with others, and share this vision that is surrounding us with this full moon. We are releasing so much, but we can also find healing and inspiration in what gives us and who gives us love that truly accepts us the way we are. And, the more we explore this energy with those resonant people and things that inspire us, the more we heal, because the deeper we go, the more vulnerable we become. And so it's like, I love astrology because it all merges together and spirals, and really it's a huge opportunity this week to put love at this barycenter of the shifting reality, because we can't say that we can't feel the evolution of our time, the split in realities, the in-betweenness that we're in. So this hunger for co-creation and this deeper kind of healing love that this particular passage of Venus also represents, it's almost like a light, again, like a hope in the ecliptic, that I like calling it in my writing. Just this exchanging with another that's building on the awakened heart, the libidinal energy that's been really moving through us, as we have this massive culmination of emotions and release that you've been reading about as well.
Yeah, no, amazing. And, on a really basic level, I would also say to people, if you are just getting into astrology and moonology and working with the energies and manifesting and releasing, it's the first of the 12 new moons to come in the next 12 months. So, work with it. I will be doing a Facebook ceremony like I always do on my page. I don't know if you do something, Kamila, but it's very much a time to say, okay, I'm going to start to get on board with all of this. Yeah,
absolutely. If I may just add, because the full moon it's such a heightened energy, then right after the full moon, the way that the sun is moving through the different energetic wavelengths is that we're going to be putting into focus some form of a release of attachments, of what suppresses that creative, sexual, libidinal, powerful energy. And the creative base for that energy is just to, follow that authentic, visionary expression that helps us in some way purify the toxic energy. You might just feel a pull to understand. You're not exactly there yet. You might not understand the what needs to be refined around your expression, around your relationship to your yang energy, but there's a need to refine. So at least trying to change something about the way that we relate with our masculine energy, men and women, like you said, because like you said yourself, there's feminine and there's masculine in all of us. So we haven't reached the pinnacle of that vibration at the end of a week, but it's almost like it's getting there. There's something impending to raise the consciousness of the yang in our interactions. So yes, I think that's probably taking us to the 20th then of October.
That's beautiful. That is gorgeous. That is gorgeous. Thank you so much. So much for that, Kamila. All right. So are we ready to move on to talk to, we have a reader question and it's about Algol. Are we ready to do that?
Okay, bring it on.
Okay.
Your questions answered.
So it's an actual question that says, oh no, I've just discovered my moon is on Algol. What does this mean? So let's just go back a bit and sort of cycle back a bit to, the definitions of what it means.
Dear follower, what I would do is I would invoke the goddess Saraswati or some form of a musical consciousness, sit with it, and then try to move in a rhythm of what you feel.
Could I just interrupt, please? Yeah. Sorry, yes. Kamila. Can we start off by saying, should they be worried?
No, of course not. I think it's a fantastic opportunity, and what an intuitive energy it is, because the moon, our soul, our intuition, our all these feminine energies that the moon is connected to, and the sense of home, the sense of like I said, intuition is infused by Algol. So it's a heightened, intuitive, protective energy of the feminine and the deep feminine yin energy within you, and also the creative expression of the soul that can be released. So there's no fear of tapping into that energy when you just allow yourself to embody it fearlessly. Get to know her as she truly is through that, beautiful practice, yes, of music or chant, like we were. And I actually had the visions because I sound really activates me and my visions. When you were chanting, Yasmin, I could actually feel that energy and that tingling that was moving through like a kundalini snake coming through the chakras. So doing the form of a chant like that is a beautiful start to work with that energy. And of course, when we work with energies of stars, because they are outerworldly, we are inviting every manifestation around us that could come with that star. So I would just take it gently and intuitively connect with that transmission that you carry within. But notice things around you, like, do I feel like I am drawn to, in some even irrational emotional way, to feel like I need to bring protection to the feminine? Am I feeling deeply hurt in my soul when I see a suppression
like to literally
of the
protect
feminine?
women, for example?
Exactly.
Or working, or in your life, in your personal life.
Exactly, yes, and bringing together a sisterhood, a belonging of a sisterhood that with that deep trust sisterhood, but also men and women that are, because I have clients that are also men with Algol in their charts in different perhaps and not always with the moon, obviously, but with different placements of Algol in their charts. And there's a sense of an intensity of that energy, because a star can be intense when we are distracted by the mundane. The fixed stars are far beyond the mundane. So it's a sacred energy. It's a sacred energy to work with in your sacred time of moon ritual, for example, or that
And
chant.
you've worked with a lot of clients with Algol in their chart, have you?
I tend to, when I believe, because we are all sound, we are all vibration, we are all frequency. So I've noticed when I work with a specific energy, I do bring a wave of people that also resonate in that sort of the same wavelength.
Okay, let's just bring it down to a really practical level for people as well. It's actually around about 26 degrees of Taurus. So you could have your moon there, your sun, your Mercury, your Venus, all that. And it's all going to be working with this energy, regardless of if it's your moon or, it'll be different focuses, but it's the same energy, correct?
Yeah, yes, personally, I think we all are different consciousness within us. We're not just the moon, we're not just the sun, we're not just Venus. So we are the consciousness of heart, the consciousness of mind, the consciousness of the soul. So whichever way Algol is wired in the closest resonance, which we call in astrology the closest aspect, that's where I always see the first kind of avenue of that transmission being funneled through. So it just depends on the chart. If you know your chart well and you know where that star is, that kind of comes intuitively anyway. You don't need to be technical or looking at jargon. You just observe, trying to keep a journal, and try and notice these things. And after a while, you're going to start seeing the manifestations and the omens of what part of you is heightened, is infused by Algol. So
Yeah.
In simple terms. So
yeah, no, beautiful,
yeah.
beautiful, beautiful. Okay, so let us end with a card for the week for everybody who's listening. Are you game for this, Kamila?
A message from the Moonology Oracle.
So I'm going to go with my Ascended Masters cards.
Wonderful.
All right, let's have a card for what we need to know this week to sort of work with everything that we've been talking about. All right, so if this card is for you, say it out loud. This card is for me. Oh, beautiful. Okay, here we go. So we have this beautiful card. It's Hilarion, Health and Healing. Now, let me just, which is so pertinent to what we've been talking about, because we started off by talking a lot about healing. And, doing the release work at the full moon is very, very good for your mental and physical health. Okay, so here we go, guys, the message for this week with all of this. This card is a sign of healing. Your divine healing power has awakened. And I think there's a lot of healing of the feminine going on this week as well. As you feel compelled to help others to heal. Just as you've been healed, so too you want others to enjoy health and vitality. So you're supported in making life changes so you can continue to heal yourself and others. Let go of any fears or restrictive thinking to fully open to the miracles of healing. So what this is saying to me is literally exactly what you said. It's a healing week, and let's release fear of the feminine, additional meanings: injury is healed or healing. You are a healer. It's a safe time for you to change to a healing career or study healing modalities. So there we go. So Kamila, to me, this has been amazing. I hope everybody else will find it as amazing as I have. I'm quite obsessed with all these things we've been talking about. But let's just quickly take a moment to tell people where they can find you if they want more, if they want a reading, they want to read your stuff, they want to come to your CIA workshop that you're doing. And I'll put all the information in the show notes as well. But let's hear about how to contact you for people who want more, Kamila.
Thank you. I would love to hear from you. And I work not just with fixed stars, but also different forms of astrology. So I'm always open to readings and consultations with whatever you'd like to explore. So you can find me by email, which I'm gonna give Yasmin, liziskamila@gmail.com. I'm on Facebook as Kamila Ami Lizis Astrology. I'm
Kamila
on
what?
Kamila Ami Lizis Astrology, then just the full name, and then I'm on Instagram, Substack, and I am on CIA. So I've got a
Which is the
workshop.
Cosmic Intelligence
Cosmic,
Agency.
that's right. So I work alongside Yulia, co-editing the Time Lords magazine. So I hope that we can put a link up. There's a new edition that just came out, a free edition that you can read online about fixed stars and other really interesting, beautiful mix of astrologies that we receive from contributors from around the world. There's a webinar I have on the 27th of October. It's a Sunday at 9 a.m. UK time about Algol. And I'm having an alternative look at Algol through the music and lyrics of Kurt Cobain. I'm not going to go into detail now of how he's wired with Algol, but it's going to be exciting. It's going to be creative. There's going to be music, and we're going to explore this amazing star and how she's present in the nativity of a musician.
And if you want to go, if people want to go to that workshop, where do they go? And we'll put a link in the show notes, but some people will be listening to this as they, race around their house. Where do they go?
They go to the CIA's Cosmic Intelligence Agency's website. So I hope we can put a link up to book your space at the webinar. And a part of the webinar as well is going to be not just music and Kurt Cobain, but we're going to talk in more detail about Algol, and we're going to talk about Algol in charts as well.
And it's cosmicintelligenceagency.com, correct?
That's right. Yes, that's it. And I also, with every Venus ingress, I do these gatherings called Venus Heartlight Circles. So you're very welcome. There's one this Thursday, 17th of October at 7 p.m. Irish or UK time. I combine astrology toning, so astrology sound that reflects the ingress, the entry of Venus into that particular sign. We learn through Venus about astrology, of that energy of a particular sign, which now it's going to be Sagittarius, mutable fire. And there's also a healing activation, because I also do heart and crown chakra opening activation at this workshop. So
how do people get into that workshop?
That workshop as well, you can email me, liziskamila@gmail.com, or you don't
have a website?
I do have a website.
I think it's easier for people to go to the website and book.
It is, yeah.
Let's just before we go, because like so many healers, I think you're zooming through all this information about how people can find you. So let's just bring it down. So Lizis, so it's Lizis, Kamila, Kamila.
Yes. At gmail.com.
Okay, and the website?
Yes. And the website is Kamila, Kamila, Lizis, Lizis, astrology.com. So all that info is there.
Google, you'll end up on her site, and you can book it. I would love to come to this Venus toning thing. So
wonderful.
Yes, I will be there, I hope. Okay, all right. And anything else you want to share with us today, Kamila?
I'm just so delighted to be a part of it, and I basically believe that astrology is living skies. We give voice to whatever transpires in the sky as above, so below. So I just love the opportunity of being able to give Algol the voice and try and debunk this fear that's been going on for way too long. And it's a very humbling and a very beautiful work to be doing, and I'm just very happy to share it. It's really all spontaneously came through me now. So yeah, so thank you.
Amazing. I think the way the Zoom thing works, when you're talking, people can't see me, but you can see me. And I just sat there and closed my eyes and let it all wash through me, because it was so amazing.
Wonderful. So, thank you.
Thank you so much for being here, Kamila. And I hope we meet in person someday. And I will do my best to come along on to the Venus toning and also to the Algol workshop.
Oh, you're so welcome. Now, delighted to see you there. So thank you for the opportunity. I hope you have a beautiful day. And yes, and see you soon. Thank you.